Hey everyone, welcome to SLP's Wine and Cheese. I'm Deb.
And I'm Maria.
And here's our podcast.
For the Realistic SLP. Welcome!
Oh look, we did that together.
We're awesome. Cheers!
Cheers to that.
That's right. Like our life speech, and we're okay with that.
Trying to help people to, improve their speech language communication.
Understanding, language comprehension, expressive output. Alright, so let's talk about the wine.
Okay.
And it's from Sicily. It's very fancy.
I say drink it, not think it.
Definitely drink it. Alright, what do you think about it paired with the Prosecco, though? Let's get back on task.
I think it's pretty good.
Because neurons that fire together, wire together.
I like that. Work smarter, not harder.
Right, yes.
You're teaching them in the first step is just how to communicate.
And then also you're teaching them like syntactically correct sentences.
Right.
The more you understand yourself, the more you're able to understand other people.
That's really genius. We
Yeah.
need to cheers to that.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to episode 19 of SLP's Wine and Cheese. I'm Deb.
And I'm Maria.
And we have a wonderful, very special guest this evening.
Yay! Welcome our special guest, Katie, the OT.
Hi, everyone.
Hey! So glad to have you here. And so all of the listeners know this is SLP's Wine and Cheese. But today, Katie brought us some whiskey.
Right.
Honey whiskey by Wild Turkey.
Katie does not mess around. She
No.
is like hardcore girl, so hardcore OT. So I'll talk about what we're drinking and what we have drank already prior
right.
to the planning of the episode.
Because
So-
Maria did bring a little baby bottle of Moscato.
A little baby bottle.
Like, for an infant.
If an infant were to drink wine,
They'd probably be okay if they drank that much.
we do not condone
We do not
infants drinking
infant-
wine, or anyone really under the age of 21
Yeah,
drinking
nobody.
alcohol. So,
Complete
what I
joke.
did bring in was Barefoot Bubbly, the Barefoot wines. I brought in a pink, and then ironically has like a little
Baby
baby
little baby foot.
not a barefoot. Pink Moscato champagne, and it's sparkling wine. And did you know that Moscato is actually the name of a common white grape?
Ah,
Did you know that, Katie?
I didn't.
Okay, look,
Very
see?
interesting.
We're going to teach Katie some things here,
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
about
it
wine.
makes sense. I mean, wine comes from grapes.
Right. So this wine is bubbly. They really don't take that term bubbly lightly. And I thought it was
Right.
a little bubble.
Did
too
you bubble
bubbly.
it?
I didn't. Probably because it's such a small.
Sure, and you split it.
Yes, me and Deb split it. Katie doesn't drink
I don't
wine.
drink
Can you
wine.
tell us why you don't drink wine?
I get headaches. It's too sweet.
Okay, we
The,
dropped a
the
pen.
ladies
no
from
worries.
SLP's Wine and Cheese, no, from SLP Toolkit, they came to
Yes.
do an episode with us, and one of the ladies liked wine, but she brought beer, or she wanted beer because she doesn't like to drink wine because of the headache situation.
yeah.
So I can understand that. I need to, I did read a quote once that said your life would be much better if you focused today's actions on having a better tomorrow.
Wow.
And I don't know how often I live by that,
I feel like you do.
but I try to.
I try to also. I try to think what I do today, how it's going to affect me tomorrow when it comes to drinking, especially.
But whenever I see
She
it, I'm
does.
like, give me the drink.
Yeah.
Katie does do that.
I try. It doesn't always work.
Yes.
But I try.
All right, so we paired the bubbly pink Moscato with goat cheese.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the combination. I liked the bubbliness, and the goat cheese, the smoothness, toned it down. So I thought it was a good
goat
one.
cheese. That
Goat
was
cheese
good.
is good, right?
Because it doesn't have a flavor, but the texture.
Yeah.
Oh my god, here she is, people. Here's our guest. Go for it, Katie. Go.
No, it's just
No,
the
this is
texture.
perfect.
I know, but I was just
She's
saying.
like, I said it all. The
I know.
texture, it's the texture.
I'm done. Am I done now?
No,
yeah.
I'm
No,
joking.
go.
But it's really the texture. I don't think that it has a lot of
Well, there is
taste.
the saltiness. to
There
it,
is,
yeah.
right. So it kind of evens out the wine. So the
Mhm.
wine is really sweet. The cheese is kind of salty, but the texture too.
Yeah,
But
it
it
is the
depends. Some
texture.
people don't like the texture.
Why? Why wouldn't they like
Maybe
it?
they're too sensitive.
What about people like me who love it?
Then you're
I'm
hypersensitive.
hyper.
Hypersensitive. You need a
Hypers-
lot of it
Yeah.
to process it.
Right.
Oh.
So do you think like individuals who have like some sort of like sensory issue with something like goat cheese, because it's so soft and it's not really a predominant texture or flavor, it's harder for them to perceive it in their mouth?
Yes, so
and
definitely.
It's just like scary for some like substance that they can't perceive
Yes.
to be there.
So a texture, it could be anything, but if it reminds you of something that you don't like or something that you're afraid of, like the way it feels. So like mashed potatoes. If you don't like mashed potatoes, you might not like goat cheese because it's the same consistency.
Right.
So yeah, it could be a sensory thing.
Yeah, that SOS feeding approach is similar. Like it's all about like having several different textures that are similar to each other, and that's like how you progress through different foods.
Right.
So like you find a food that the individual likes, and then like if they like that, then you find something that's like the same shape and texture, and like have them try that next.
Yeah. And I feel like, especially, I mean, you met in a school together, OTs and speech therapy, when it comes to feeding and like oral sensory, oral motor, we should work together.
Of course.
Yeah.
So that's how me and Katie met.
Yeah, because we collaborate a lot.
We do.
When we find out something about our students that works or doesn't work, we try to, tell each other, because then it kind of helps us with time. You don't have to trial and error multiple times because you
Right.
already did it. It didn't work. So you know to move on to something else.
And I feel like I've learned so much with collaborating with OTs, and that's helped I think, speech therapy sessions become more effective. And I hope, the
Yeah.
OTs take what I, say, and my different strategies that I use to make their sessions more effective.
And I love it when I see that, like, if we collaborated and I see something that a speech therapist does and it's so OT related, but yet you're working on your goal. I'm like, you're meeting two goals. I'm like,
Right.
can you record that? Can you document that on my, like, data sheets,
Yeah.
So it's
She's
awesome.
like, I'm doing stuff too.
Yeah.
Write that down.
Write it down.
I know what I'm doing too. So what do we think about this bubbly wine? Drink it or sink it?
Oh, I think sink that one.
Really? Are you judging it off the small baby
No,
bottle?
I mean, I think, I did want more, but at the same time, I just don't like overly sweet things. I do much prefer something a little bit more savory.
Do you think honey whiskey is sweet?
Yeah, let's get into what
Yeah.
Katie brought.
Because it is sweet, but because it's whiskey, I feel like it's good that it's sweet. You
Right.
can actually drink it.
I think that honey whiskey is a gateway whiskey. Because
this is my first time, like.
But I'm glad you like it.
I like
the
this.
way
Here
to
it
the
is.
next whiskey bar.
I like this.
Don't
You should come to the
ask
next open mic.
Oh yeah, I like singing.
Oh, that's awesome.
But no, we didn't get into my game yet. But Katie's husband dabbles in stand-up. He's not a stand-up comedian, like professionally or what.
Darren, no, he's not. He does comedy on Staten Island, Manhattan, but like open mics and shows that he gets booked for.
Oh, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's not like his career goal.
No,
it's just
no.
something that
Yeah.
he enjoys to
As
do.
a hobby.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my boyfriend is a full-time stand-up. So how do you? Oh yeah, we should vote. Okay, we'll do that next.
Yeah.
So how do you like being in a relationship with somebody who does stand-up comedy?
It's tough.
Yeah,
because
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think we should write that down. I think
Write that down.
it's tough.
Right. it is because they're always like, "Oh, babe, do you mind? I have an open mic tonight." And you're like, "Okay, I guess not because tomorrow I'm going out with Maria, right? You don't
Yeah,
care."
that's
And
right.
he's like, "No, I guess I have no choice." I'm like, "Right." So it's tough. Because he's out, but then it lets me be out with no excuses. Like it's like I know,
Right.
like you went out, now it's my turn.
Yeah.
But that's like any hobby, any guy
Right.
that you're dating or person that you're dating. If they have like their own thing going on, that's in a way a good
Yeah.
thing, and then there's like negatives to that too, like
Yeah.
like Tuesday night's our night, and Deb's
Right.
like Tuesday night is my podcast night, so bye. Like
Yeah, I mean, so I opposite problem. I'm like, go, do it, leave. I love him, I do.
Right.
He's great.
Is
but
he here right now?
No, he's at a comedy show where
Oh,
he
good.
belongs. Go.
That's why
Do
he
the
needed so
jokes.
much whiskey.
Well, it's only like down the street
Oh.
too, so he was probably like.
I
don't
gotta hook
think
him
it's
up with
really-
Darren because he
Yes.
does go out to do comedy. Like he'll go to Manhattan, he'll go to these shows. So they should he has a Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think
so-
he's at the friend limit though.
All right, whatever.
But he can still message people. Yeah, you can only have 5,000 friends on Facebook.
What about
No way, I
just
didn't know that.
Good old fashioned phone numbers. No? Is that
They
weird?
do messengers.
Okay,
I don't know.
all
But Darren could
I
just
don't
text
know.
us, man.
Do you want Mike and Darren to date?
A little bit.
I know. Dad, what does that mean about that? Should we move in?
I'll get both of you girls to myself. I'll be like, hey girls, anytime you're free, Maria, let's go out. Like,
But anyway,
Alright, so
going back to the whiskey whiskey, though?
Oh, the whiskey. I vote drink it.
Yeah, drink it. Whiskey, you know me.
I vote drink it too.
Maria! Yeah, 3 for 3.
Right.
Yeah.
The whiskey was better than my baby wine.
Yay! I hope everybody else agrees.
So Katie got this from the Army base?
Yeah, on Staten Island, Fort Wadsworth. It's an Army base. It's for Coast Guards, but anybody who's any military could go in and shop there.
Right, because Darren's
Army. He's retired from Army.
That's
He served
right.
the Desert Storm.
Cheers to that. Cheers to
Cheers.
that.
Cheers.
Thank you for all that. All who have served.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, I should have drank it. Drink it.
You gotta drink that, girl.
But you did what Darren does. He'll cheer and then he like stomps
Puts
it.
it
I
down.
always, you always have to like put it down first.
Yeah.
That's for good luck. So
All right.
I
yes.
made a game because
So
since
let's-
we're
I
going
like
to
games.
learn so much about sensory and occupational therapy, and also we're learning lots about Katie and also Maria too. I feel like we've learned a lot about you today.
Let me
too.
ask you, do you have a lot of sensory issues? Or do
Oh.
you think you do?
I have, I don't know.
Let's find out.
I mean, guys, I don't like gobble the cheese like uncontrollably.
No, we're not
I was
talking
kidding.
about
Oh
the
my
cheese,
gosh, it's not the
silly.
cheese.
If anyone wants to know what Maria looks like with the cheese, you remember the Beast when he was trying to have that porridge at the table?
like in Beauty and the Beast.
and then I'm Belle who just models the fork.
Pretend she's eating.
Do I have sensory issues? No, but I like massages.
If that was the case, probably. But
Oh.
that's not what you look
Okay.
like. She's
all
just
right.
joking.
Okay.
Yeah, I was joking.
All right.
I don't think I have any sensory issues. Well, there are things that I don't.
We all
enjoy.
do.
I don't like to bite a sandwich or anything and have it so large that it touches like the corners of my mouth.
See? What about you?
I like
That's
small
a
bites.
sensory thing.
I don't like when things burn my mouth.
Well, that's awkward.
I don't know. I feel like I'm on the spot now. I'm sure I have a ton.
Think of it for a second.
I also don't like reaching into a bag of chips. If the chips are very far away, I just cut the bag because
Oh my
I don't
God.
want the surroundings of the bag all over my hands.
That's very sensitive.
And I don't want to hear the noise of it either. I just don't like people. I don't like to be bombarded by things that I didn't ask for.
All right.
Like, I will turn the microwave off before that bell happens.
Okay.
But is that that
See,
a
that's
little OCD?
OCD. That's OCD.
Can you tell me and Katie collaborate?
Yeah,
Can
that's
you tell?
OCD.
Our mind was just like, okay, now we're
Yeah.
OCD.
That's not sensory.
Now we're going more mental health.
Yeah.
Bring it back to sensory.
Well, I love deep pressure. Like,
Me-
if you
me
came
too.
over and just hugged me, I'd be like,
Yes.
like anybody could come over and be like,
Yes,
Katie, like,
right
just
here.
put their hand on me, and I'm like, oh, can you do it again?
I like
I
that
just
too.
melt into it. I
Me
love
too.
it. Yeah.
And I'm like, who
Don't
is
touch me.
that?
Right.
Why are you?
No, see, and I love that. Like, if I'm sitting at the computer typing my notes, and somebody says, "Hey, Katie," and I'm like, "Oh, can you do it again?"
Yeah,
Like,
I'm like,
I
people,
love it.
why'd you stop? You
Yeah,
know? I'm
and it's just
fine.
a touch.
Oh, really?
So what is
So weird.
that? Sensory seeking.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the game. This is
The
so
game.
good.
Yeah,
the
I
game.
know.
Okay,
I'm excited.
I'm gonna take
All
a
right,
sip of
this
whiskey.
is
for
a this or that game, and we're going to start with Maria.
Mm.
So, Katie, would you please give Maria your mic?
Katie's
Okay.
gonna keep drinking.
So,
Have some of
this
mine.
or that, Maria, cardio or weight?
Cardio.
Call or text?
Call.
Ice cream cone or cup?
Cup.
Dog or cat?
Dog.
Music or podcast?
Ooh, podcast.
iOS or Android?
iOS.
Cake or pie?
Cake.
Big party or small gathering? Small gathering.
Big party.
Football or baseball?
Football.
Nice car or house?
House all the way.
Nice.
Yes.
Very
Oh
good.
my God, do I have to be that fast?
Yes.
Oh, we can
That
go
was too
slower.
fast.
It was like a rapid name
I
and
know. Like, she knew what was coming.
No, I didn't.
I have to process it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Auditory
I'll
processing,
keep
I read slow. No.
Okay, that's all right.
That's fine.
We're
That's fine.
we are so equipped with that. Take your time. Listen carefully.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to speak slow.
Katie, bath or shower?
Shower.
Burger or taco?
Burger.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Online or store shopping?
Online.
Passenger or driver?
Driver.
Tablet or computer?
Tablet.
Movies, do you get candy or popcorn?
Neither.
Oh. Pancake or waffle?
Waffle.
Beach or mountains?
Mountains.
Oh. Horror or comedy?
Horror.
Me too.
Wow.
Especially on a stormy night.
Yes, I love horror.
Did those answers mean anything?
No.
Like, okay.
It was just to get to know you.
Yeah, that's it.
Well,
But
Katie,
the tub, I'm skeeved out. sensory. I can't have a tub full of water and lay in it with like dirt floating around me.
Oh.
Because do you shower before you go in the tub?
No, I just get in the tub and I'm
Dirty.
like, whatever.
Dirty.
It's not, I mean, there's soap. I'm relaxed.
And then you get all pruny.
I like being pruny. I'm like, look at
But
this.
how dirty are you? You rolling around in the dirt?
No, but like sweat.
So what I will do is I like bleach the tub before I take a bath.
Ooh.
That's not good.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
chemicals. I feel like that's almost
Then you're
worse.
floating in chemicals.
No, well, I bleach it and then I clean it off and then I do the bathtub. I don't
But
know.
still, I mean, to each its
You
own.
know what? I'm 30.
I'm just quick.
I'm alive.
Yeah. I'm also quick. Like,
Can
I
we-
can't do showers. That's too long.
You can't do showers.
I mean, baths.
Oh,
That's
can't-
too long. Like,
Yeah.
in shower, 10 minutes,
Yeah.
done.
So I was gonna say, I felt like Katie's answers showed that she's like outdoorsy because you picked mountains, and I was gonna say rolling around in mud. Katie does like the Motorella. I've done races with Katie.
Races,
She's
yeah.
very sporty.
Yeah.
So
I am. Yeah.
Yeah, she is. And
So
she
when you
was
said
like, whiskey.
cardio, I'm like, both.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and we don't really go to movies. We have like the Fire Stick and we have the Netflix. So that's why I said neither, because who goes to movies now? Do you guys go to movies?
I go to the movies.
You
but
do?
I
Okay.
don't even want to hear about a movie without popcorn.
Oh, really?
I haven't even been to the movies in a
Yeah,
while.
me neither. So.
Sometimes Mike tries to be frugal, and I'm like, don't even look at me again. Like, I'm not getting popcorn.
Such a turn off.
All right, so let's get into occupational therapy, and
Yeah.
I just want to give my explanation of what occupational therapy is, and you can correct me at any time.
Okay.
So, occupational
It's a tough one. I'm
therapy-
sorry. It's
yeah.
a tough one.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to explain to people. I always tell them, like, the fine motor stuff. So speech, we're working on speech, language, communication, feeding, and swallowing. For OT, they're going to work on small body movements. So, like, small muscle movements, whether it's your fingers or your toes or your eyes. And then a PT is going to work with, like, gross motor. So they're going
Right.
to be jumping, perhaps. But that's not the best explanation, but
Right.
it is, like, the quickest one I give to parents.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, occupational therapy, actually, they're the only profession, it said, which I don't think is true, the something I read. It says the only profession that helps people across their lifespan to achieve activities of daily living. But we
Yes.
help them too all the time.
So this is the only difference. Everybody does it, but the occupational therapy does it through daily activities.
Mhm.
So let's say you want somebody to learn how to get dressed after a stroke.
Mhm.
Physical therapy would do it. Let's raise our arms to the ceiling.
okay.
But we'll say, get your shirt. We're gonna start
Ah.
practicing how to put your shirt on.
Using
What
the actual
compensations?
materials.
Yes. What compensations can I give you? What strategies can I give you? What muscles can we strengthen now that you try to put on your shirt but you can't? So
Right.
we actually do it through the activity.
And that's the
That's
assessment.
occupation.
And that's the assessment too, right? You're like, all right, let me see.
It's the assessment, it's the activity,
And
and
the
ev-
treatment,
the
assessment,
treatment. Yep.
treatment,
So that's
discharge
the
criteria.
difference because you actually do it. That's why we're called occupational because you want to engage the client in their occupation to achieve their goals.
Right. Right. And across the lifespan, you have a variety of occupations.
Right.
So, an occupational therapist, they're going to take a holistic perspective and focus on adapting the environment or the task to fit that specific person. And a lot of times, they might work on sensory integration therapy, exposing to, in this type of therapy, you expose to sensory stimuli in order to, in a structured way and a repetitive way, to increase organization, right?
Right.
So it's important to not just like go willy-nilly exposing people to things that make them uncomfortable, and you're a professional, so you'll do that in a gradual and structured
Right.
way.
And one of the quotes that we came across just now, we were saying the physical therapist could get you up and walking, but are you going to do it naked?
Mm-hmm.
You need the OT to teach you how to get dressed and how to do.
I like that quote.
Yeah, me too.
That's a great quote.
And then we talked about, not sure if we're there yet, but we talked about play for kids.
Yes, I was
right,
going to bring
so-
that up, but I'm
right.
glad you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an occupation. A play, a lot of times, we work in a school, me and Maria, and you do too, Deb.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we come into the classroom and the teachers, you know, they get tired. It is hard to have kids that have autism, Down syndrome, etc. And they say, just take them, can you go play with them for 30 minutes? And first you're like, play, we don't play, we work. But play is one of the occupations that a child needs to
Yeah.
engage in. And we were talking about it earlier as well. Not all the kids know how to play appropriately.
Yes, and as SLPs, we look at their play skills, and their play skills shows us a lot about their language skills. Are they able to play and talk at the same time? Are they able to narrate? Are they playing with the toys appropriately? And play skills are really indicative of social skills and what's going on cognitively. So we look at play a lot.
Right.
Also, and I
Yeah.
like that little carryover.
And with play, you guys look at those skills while they're playing. Are they using fine motor? Are they holding the pieces correctly? Are they placing them visually correctly while you guys are engaging the social piece, the cognitive piece, which we could as well, but when there's so many disciplines, everybody kind of takes their own charge.
Yeah. And also, like, I like to give this example.
I feel like we need a cheers to that. I'm like, ready to drink this whiskey.
Yeah.
Maria's so proud of you.
Oh, she loves whiskey. So I always say to people, like, listen, if you go to a neurologist, they're going to be like, it's your brain. If you go to a cardiologist, they're going to be like, it's your heart. So it's just like, so it's kind of just like you see everything through the lens that you were educated through. So then getting back to sensory integration therapy, that's once again when you expose the individual to sensory stimuli in an organized and repetitive, structured way by a professional. Don't just go ahead and do this. And the goal of that is to increase organization within the brain so that over time the brain will adapt and allow the individual to process and react to those sensations in a more efficient way, like not losing their mind.
So maybe we can give an example of one of those. So, I mean, Katie, which is whatever you want to talk about.
Like about sensory, what it is?
Sensory integration therapy.
Okay.
So, you want to use a child on the spectrum as an example?
I always want to say, we all have sensory issues.
Right,
we all
went
do.
over them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And what distinguishes us from having an actual issue is we know when to control it.
Yes.
So a lot of times,
I explained this to a parent too.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes.
So a lot of times I like to wear tights, not because I can't wear jeans, but just I prefer tights. They're looser, they're easier to bend your knees in. But if I had to wear jeans, I
Which
can.
you are right. She's wearing jeans right now.
It's not
so
gonna.
you really dressed up for this occasion.
It wouldn't affect my daily living skills.
Right.
So
and it wouldn't affect you in school, let's say.
Right. I wouldn't sit there and try to take them off or like twitch with them, stim off of them. But somebody who has sensory issues, you could tell because it affects their daily life.
Right.
Right. So give us like
an example.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the examples.
See, do rights. Our see, do right segment right now.
So an example would be.
Give us what you would see in a student.
So somebody who's craving vestibular.
Okay.
So vestibular is when they need movement, and that's how you process it through your ears, and that's balance. So what would happen is a child would be engaged in a lot of movement. They wouldn't want to sit in their seat. They constantly want to move. They constantly want to jump. They constantly go from an activity to an activity. In speech therapy, you say, sit down, let's play this game. And they're like, no. And they throw it and they want to run.
Yes.
So another example is you think it's behavior. They don't like the game, but it's because they just want to move.
That's why I like to start them off, which I've learned this from my OT friends, with some type of activity. And I think I've talked about that. So we have like even jumping jacks. I roll the ball, bounce the ball, because I know there's like alerting ones and then there's calming ones.
Look at you. There is.
But I mean, you taught
just
me
to quickly
too.
review.
Yes, review it.
The calming ones are usually the deep pressure.
Right.
So something deep. You want them to lay down, use all their joints. And the stimulating ones, running, jumping, swinging, anything that gets them hyped and moving. So that's usually for like kids that are kind of like low muscle tone, kind of down. They're hyposensitive. They need a lot of sensory to wake them up.
Right, and then that means that they have lower motor neuron involvement.
Oh boy.
Go down that too. Don't worry.
when they're low tone and stuff, and when they're like when they're flaccid, and if they're
hyper.
If they're hyper, what is that? What's the
well, flaccid is
flaccid
is like hypo.
Yeah, what is the opposite of flaccid?
Spastic.
Spastic. Yeah, so that's upper motor neuron.
Yeah, flaccid is very like
right.
Everything's kind of like just no muscle tone, and spastic is too much muscle tone, so they're like very like tight.
Right.
And you're gonna have to stretch them
out. And then
out.
you'll see that more with like some cerebral palsy type.
Yes, exactly.
So what we were kind of getting into then when saying like an individual has sensory seeking behavior and that there's things that we can do in order to like modify that behavior. Now, those can be things that you just introduce intermittently throughout therapy from what I understand. But then also you can have something which is called a sensory diet, which is like essentially a regimen that this individual will use as like perhaps a coping mechanism. Like they can identify when they're not feeling great, and then they can go through their sensory diet, which does not have to do with food, even though it can be food.
Right, exactly.
Right. And they can use that to their advantage. So
Yes.
can you explain a little bit more?
Yes, so sensory diets, we actually have a lot of requests for sensory diets in our school. I'm sure in your school as well. So it's basically a teacher coming to you, or even a speech therapist, or anybody.
Or physical therapist.
Physical therapist, yeah. But teachers usually, and speech therapists have big mandates. So they usually come, but teachers mostly, and paras, and they say, my student just either sleeps at the table or vice versa, just won't sit at the table. What can we do? So if you have the student, obviously you try to work with them, you try to figure who they are. And it's hard because sometimes for OT, we only have them 2 times a week, 3 times a week the most. So it's hard to figure them out. But we have a sensory profile, which a teacher could fill out, a parent could fill out, and it gives you an idea of what they're craving or what they need. And off of that, once you figure out what sensory it is, you know, we have different senses. Once you figure out what it is that they're craving or that they're getting too much of, you kind of incorporate that into their diet. And
Which is basically just like their exercise routine.
yes.
Right, so this is what you would do, right?
Right.
So you would do
To help them process the sensory. And now today, actually, I spoke to one of the paras, and she's like, well, how often do we do it? So now I told her it depends. You don't want to start where you do it every 10 minutes because then the child gets
Right.
used to it. You probably want to start off high. So I said once every period. So once every 50 minutes.
Right.
Or right before work, because then you get that student stimulated, or you get them so tired that they're actually able to sit.
Right. And I think what's important to bring up here is that, like, there is no advice that's going to take the place of clinical judgment. So you have to see this child and
Exactly.
be like, okay, well, this is actually something that I intend to use to help them. And I don't want them to utilize this as a means to escape an
Right.
undesirable task within the classroom setting. So you must have, like, strict guidelines on
Yes.
when and which this can occur. So let's say, like you said, between periods, maybe this is like a transition activity. So
Right.
it's like we're between math and reading, so we're going to go out into the hallway, we're going to do 20 jumping jacks, bounce on the ball 20 times, and then do like Zen bug pose, and then get ready to go back in.
Right.
Or something along the lines of that.
Yeah.
I used to have a student who struggled to like stay still and focus, and also he had like weak muscle tone, and it especially in his wrists and stuff. So we would start every speech session, we would do superhero contests,
Ooh.
which was just planking.
Yeah.
We just planked.
But it's all about convincing them.
Yes.
It
Right.
doesn't matter.
Exactly.
You could tell them you're a superhero. Do
because you look
push-ups.
like a superhero when you're
That's
planking.
awesome.
When we were planking on our hands, not on our arms.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we would do it for 10 seconds, and we would count down from 10. We would count down from 15. We would count down from 20. So now it's also like you're counting. So you're working on that. You're also working on having appropriate like breath support in order to produce that phonation.
Perfect.
But
Strength.
then, yeah. And then also there's so much research for doing things in succession, like listing and
Right.
numbering, because you need to sustain the airflow that whole time. And now I'm like putting him under stress because
And
he's
attention. He's
using
so
his muscles.
focused.
Focused.
But can I
so
just
focused because usually like you got to
Yeah.
stay up. You don't want to
Yeah.
fall down. You
But
know
can
what
I just
mean?
mention really one important thing
Yeah.
that I don't know if the teachers or parents are listening. It can't be used as a punishment. So if it's a sensory diet, you can't say, well, you didn't eat what I told you to eat, so now you can't go jump on the trampoline.
Right.
You can't do that. If it's your sensory diet, it's not supposed to be used as a,
So you
a
can't
reward
take it away
or as a
because
punishment.
taking it away is not going to be like a positive reinforcement. So you're not going to increase the likelihood that they're going to eat by taking away their sensory diet, because it's not just like a pleasurable thing for them. It's not a reward. It's actually something that regulates them.
A sensory diet is just a routine that they do. It's not a reward and it's not a punishment. So even if they're not listening, when the timer
It's like
goes
a
off,
vitamin.
you take them. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a vitamin.
You're going to take the vitamin whether you feel good or bad.
Yes.
You're going to take
And
it.
you need it to help
Right.
you feel good. So that's like the whole point. Maybe that's one of the reasons why that behavior even existed.
Exactly. So maybe
Yes.
now we need to change our schedule. Maybe instead of 50 minutes, maybe it's 45 minutes. Maybe before lunch he should have did the sensory diet.
Right.
Right, and then
So-
maybe he wouldn't have acted out in the way that now you want to reprimand him for
Right.
because you didn't. So what the sensory diet does is it gets them in the right state. It gets
Right.
them prepared. Their body is now ready to do that activity, even if it's just like a placebo effect.
Exactly.
It's like, I did my plank plank, that means it's time for speech. I did my
Right.
jumping jacks, that means that I'm done in the hall and it's time for me to go
Right.
back into class. So even if this has bullshit, like it's just
Right.
bogus, it doesn't matter
It's
because
not, but
it's
yeah,
not,
right.
and it's obviously
For
it's
them,
not.
This is a good
it's
argument.
meaningful.
This is
But
a good
still,
argument.
it's still there. It's still in their head. It's a transition, and it means like I am getting at least mentally ready.
Right.
Side note:
Part of the routine.
when I was a waitress, and I would think I was leaving at 10 o'clock,
And then you had
and
an
I
extra
would
table.
find out I have to leave at like 12. I'm like, I am not mentally prepared for
Right.
this.
I am a very mental preparation. If I
Yes.
said I'm running 3 miles,
are.
wait, if I said I'm running 3 miles, and now you tell me I'm running 5, my legs are
No.
killing me at 3.1.
I would have been ready for 5. If you told me 5, I would have done 5.
Mentally.
But no, yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's the same.
Wait, and I
for
just
them.
wanted to say
Yeah,
something
go
about the
for it.
pecs. So
Yes.
another sensory diet thing that we mentioned briefly before is how it incorporates speech is I made a pegboard for my students. So he had 3 choices of what he wants to pick for sensory diet. So it's not a strict sensory diet, but it's what are you in a mood for at that time? Do you
Oh,
need
good.
deep
I
pressure?
like that.
Do you need some jumping, vestibular? Or do you need your head rubbed for proprioception? And he gets to choose, but now, do you know what this means? Do you know how to choose? How does this apply
Right.
to you?
Get
And that's
new
where you guys
requests.
come in, and that's
Right.
how we collaborate.
Yeah, so what you could do is sample like pair the visual of the swing with him being on the swing, so he could pair. Like,
So would the picture be
act-
better with him on the swing or just the swing?
Yeah, but you could teach it to him. Like you could teach him like this picture of swing means swing. So like you could see him just what he could pick or she. Let's say that you put them on the swing, and then you have the visual of the swing picture with you as he's
Okay.
on the swing. Stop the swing, make him point to it, or make him exchange with you. Start swinging him again. So you're teaching him, oh, this picture means swing. So you got to teach what these pictures mean and what these words mean.
Right.
So
Okay.
It's like what you have
And do
to
you guys encourage sign language? Because we say more. Like, we make them say more if they're nonverbal. Like, at least the sign language.
Yes.
Yeah, I like to teach all the kids sign language. If
Okay.
I learns it, then I'm like, if I learns it, then that means I liked it, which means that they will like it. So when I learn, I like to be like, please. and
So you
thank
do it simultaneously.
Like, yeah, like I just like to teach them stuff, and I'm like we have like little special codes in the
Aw, that's
hallway.
cute.
Just like because when you're in charter school, there's like so many different hand signals and things. Like crossing your
Okay.
fingers in the air means that you need to go to the bathroom.
Oh, that's
So,
weird.
like,
okay.
Yeah, like there's all different things that I'm not like I don't understand because I don't technically work for the charter school. I work as an independent contractor. So I'm like, you know what? They're gonna know my own baseball signs. So when they want to do something and they're like being inappropriate in the hallway, I'll be like, please. And I'll do like
And
the
then it
sign
always
for
feels
please.
personal.
And then they're like,
It's
oh,
personal.
that I know what that means.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, or I'll be like ball, so they know that we're gonna do basketball
Cute.
or something
Oh,
like
so
that.
how do you do basketball with them? Eye hand coordination.
Oh yeah.
All
Well,
right.
I don't like to play board games, and basketball is just a ball and a hoop, and you just toss that in. What's that?
What's that? They
I never
say.
heard that. What does that mean?
Love it. So we are at our halfway point. So now is the time where we thank all our listeners. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm hoping we have some OTs tuning in.
I hope so.
And yeah, Katie hopes so as well.
Or maybe at least after this.
Yes.
I'll tell
exact-
every OT I know, which
I know.
is 3.
All right, I know quite a few.
Yes.
If you're not, just make sure you're following us on Instagram at SLP's Wine and Cheese Pod _ between each word. My Instagram, Maria _ Kutsonis SLP. Deborah Brooks CCC SLP. I don't know if Katie wants to, but Katie's
No,
Katie's
but I just want to announce that my husband does an open mic on Staten Island, and there's one coming up this Thursday at Leedy's.
We'll say today's date
Today
because
is
this could be on for years, and
Oh.
people could show up like 5 years from now.
today is September 18th, 2018. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's this Thursday on September 20th at 8:30 at Leedy's, which is 748 Richmond Terrace.
Wait, is that Larry Lee's?
Yeah.
Oh, my grandma loved that.
Oh yeah.
bar.
So it's on Richmond Terrace, and then there's another one which is at Beans and Leaves this Friday at 8:00, and it's on Forest Avenue. It's Beans and Leaves, and it's an open mic everything. So you guys could do poetry, you could do music, you could do comedy. It's kids friendly, so nothing adult, no cursing, no slang, and so it's a fun one. So actually, a bunch of OTs are coming out to that one from my school. So I hope you guys can make it.
Sounds
Okay,
fun.
yeah.
All right, check that out. So we are going to Asha. Yay!
Yay, we got a booth.
Yes, Asha Table 872. Come check us out.
Yes. And we also start, so Asha Table 872, we're at the member table, so we have like the smaller areas, we're not by the booth, so I will work really hard at announcing this constantly so that people come to see us. I will have coloring books, like physical ones, and we will have t-shirts for sale, and we have other things in store, we just don't even know what they are going to be yet.
Yes, there's surprises.
We're working on the wine situation. We have emailed, you know how when you email a bunch of times, the answer's never just clear? I just want a hard yes or a hard no.
I feel like they might say no.
Well,
Yeah, but
you won't know. You won't know until you keep trying and trying, and they say no. If they don't say no,
She's
it's
right.
still maybe.
I asked, and then they were like, but you'll just have to ask the food service people there. And I'm like, okay, and then she gave me the contact, and I didn't get that far yet. So, it wasn't a hard no.
Okay. So yeah, so just ask those people. I'm
There's
sure
always
they'll be okay with it.
There's always after parties too.
Right, we're gonna have so Mike is coming down, and then we have like a lot of friends in Boston too. So we're gonna have like a comedy night somewhere. We're working on booking that. Mike's gonna do a live stream of his podcast, and then maybe.
Do you want Darren to come?
Oh well, he can come to Boston. Well, it's Boston. Does he want to go to Boston?
I mean, if he's on it, we'll come.
Maybe.
Well, we'll get them in touch.
Yeah. So, and then if that looks easy enough for them to do, maybe Maria and I will do a live stream show like
Maria's
that.
a comedian too. Did you know that?
I did see her do stand-up.
I
Yes,
did.
she sent me that video.
I did one stand-up, guys. One.
So there's always time for the second.
I'm nervous because I'm not gonna lie, I did pretty good on my first
Practice some
stand-up.
speech jokes.
Oh God, I did pretty good. I just want to leave my one good stand-up there. You know, I don't want to like do some bad ones.
Yeah. Can I tell you about the first time I did stand-up?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, I did it for a while.
Stand-up
The first time I did stand-up, I was fantastic.
I believe it.
I was so prepared. I was so ready. I didn't make any mistakes. I had a giant crowd, sold out. Everyone laughed. I was great. Second time I did stand-up, awful.
Yes, that's what I'm afraid.
But you can't give up.
my
You can't give up
nightmare.
after that.
No, I kept going. I did it for a couple years. I used to produce shows at Brooklyn Brewery and stuff, and I used to do stand-up on them a bunch, and honestly, it's like whatever you put into it is what you get out of it.
Yeah.
If I did open mics all week religiously, then I did
it's
great
practice.
when I was on the show.
I could relate a little bit. I didn't do stand up, but I boxed. I had
Yes, that's
I had
what I mean when Katie is hardcore.
Yeah.
Katie has,
I
I will never
but I
forget
had
that.
my first match. I fought and I lost, and after that I stopped and I shouldn't have. That's why when you said the second
Yeah.
time and you stopped, it's like, no, we need to come back. But I'm so scared. But we need to. We need to practice.
But the second time I did it, it was so bad. But it was so bad. I still think about it. Have you ever walked down the street and, just slapped yourself in the head because you can't believe you did that 10 years ago? It wasn't even 10 years ago. It's, still too soon for me to talk about how bad this was. But anyway, I did it, and it was bad, but it was because I was too cocky. My ego.
That's
Which I
what. That's
learned
the
is
same
not
problem
my
I had.
ego.
I walked in and I was like, I got this.
Yeah.
I got her, and
Oh.
she whacked me.
So when I went, literally.
She whacked me.
See, when I went,
I was seeing stars for the first time in my
Oh
life.
gosh!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
I don't want to say
insane.
her name because I don't want to make her proud.
No, it's okay. Don't make her proud. Forget that.
Yeah.
When I went in and did my stand-up, I was like, let's just see what
You were
happens.
awesome.
Oh, thank you. I just went in there with no expectations.
You should probably post this so everybody could see.
Oh, God, no, I don't know. Maybe. Yes, so our Patreon is coming down the pipeline. Look out for that.
Yeah, I can probably.
Yes.
I was looking for the link.
Do we want to go into that, or we
Let's
just want to
see.
leave it as a surprise?
Well, no.
'Cause
Well,
we still
shouldn't
have
we
s-
be like the link? It's gonna probably
All right.
like patreon.com/ Maria and Deb. Maybe it should be SLP's Wine and Cheese.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know
We'll
what?
post
We're
it.
working on it.
Yeah.
Look
We're working on it.
out
Work-
for that, right? Look
Work
out
in
for that.
progress.
You know our email is slpswineandcheese@gmail.com. And any wine sponsors, holler at us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or whiskey.
So, yeah, or whiskey.
Oh,
yeah, we're
show
open
me
to all
the-
alcohol.
Any liquor that comes in, you guys will definitely try it and talk about it.
That's right.
You guys
And
are open.
We are very open. We're very open to the
Yeah.
possibilities.
Or any speech and OT equipment that you want us to advertise or talk about.
Yes, that's right.
Look at Katie.
We'll
She's on
definitely
it.
promote it. No,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's
We
right.
love to try new things with our students, and we'll give you honest feedback.
Honest.
Yeah.
Honesty is always the best policy. So, I think...
And we'll document it
right.
Yeah, we take data all the time.
all the time.
Speaking of data and writing, Katie is going to tell us what are some things, because we're doing See, Do, Write,
We
our
have.
segment. We love that one. See, Do, Write. Anything that you would suggest maybe an SLP could write about sensory integration therapy or the sensory diet, just anything
Mm-hmm.
that we could write. Doesn't have to be too, OT driven, whatever you
Therapy
want.
driven.
Yeah, therapy driven.
Yeah, because
so
any of us could work with
what
that.
are some things you could write? Maybe as a goal, something you might see in a report, whatever you want to tell us. Even to like a parent, like keep
Yeah.
it basic for us,
Well, so would you? So, for instance, if as a speech therapist, if I was to be like speech pathologist, sorry, I don't want to make anyone
So
upset.
if you were,
No, so like as one.
Oh, okay.
Did I say if?
I thought
Oh.
I heard if.
So
Good.
as one, I would say so and so demonstrates blank behavior in the presence of blank and benefits from blank in order to remain on task. So maybe it would be like so and so struggles to focus in the presence of background noise, and they benefit from tactile cues in order to
Yes.
maintain attention to teacher-directed activities.
Okay.
Something like that. So what would you
Right.
write? OT, lingo-y?
Sensory wise.
Yeah.
So for OT goals, actually, I don't know if you've heard of this, but we're not allowed to write sensory goals because how are they measurable?
Right.
So you have to write an actual goal that's an activity that maybe the sensory difficulty comes in and impedes that goal. So for example, it could be the student will be able to attend to a reading lesson
Right.
because they have some sensory difficulties. So one of our goals, because it's measurable, would be the student would attend for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever the student's abilities are in a year,
Right.
because then
But then
it's
you
measurable.
document what you do in order to increase that attention span.
Yes. So when I write my note, I will say the student engaged
But
in
then
this.
how does anyone see your note?
CSIS. It's
But who looks at your thesis?
People.
yeah. It's
CSIS
a documented. It's a legal
But
document.
but I mean, like, let's say I got a brand new kid, right?
Yes.
I can't be looking through his whole
No,
list
but his
here.
IEP should say
Okay.
that. So yeah. So like in the
IEP was-
yeah. So in the
Yeah.
in the IEP, I will write that the student has difficulties with attention,
Right.
which enables
Yeah.
him to complete academic skills such as reading, writing, math. Our goal is for him to be able to attend to a task
Yeah,
for 10
that
minutes.
I see all
Yes,
the time. But
yeah.
what I would like to see is that blank, blank, and blank has shown that beneficial for this individual.
Right. So
So
now
that I don't see written
Yes.
places.
So now it depends on therapist. It depends. So this is a difference too. We're in D75. So even though Maria is a speech therapist, she has a lot of groups, I'm sure. In D75 or OTs, we're encouraged to have groups, but it's difficult. As for you guys, but for some reason, speech therapist has so many groups. For us, we
try.
usually have 2 or 3 groups of 2, and that's we complain about that. It's hard because you want, if the student needs individual time and they can't be a push-in, you want that individual time. So a therapist should write, this is what works for the student, this is what we work on.
Right, that's what I want to
increase.
see. I want to see that. I want to see, like, so-and-so has a lot of, like, vestibular seeking behavior and benefits from 3 spins and a jump.
Yes, and that is an amazing IEP. Does anybody have time to write that amazing IEP because of all these groups?
Rework the whole system? I'm not going to keep going
no,
with this.
no, I know, because there's so many. Yes, I agree, because now you guys have, what, like 40 kids in your caseload? So you have 40 IEPs in a year. 50, because you're a contractor, right?
Yeah.
50. So do you have time to write all those IEPs with all those details in there?
I don't.
So you do it on your own time?
All day, all night. Like, I pass out and I'm like,
halfway.
Like I fall asleep in bed. I have a bra on. I didn't do anything. I didn't make a lunch. Yeah. My hair is insane.
And I'm not blaming the DOE. I'm not blaming anybody. No. We should write perfect IEPs, but in real life, we can't. Right. Because they say, well, we're in school for 6 hours and 55 minutes, and we only see 8 kids or 8 sessions. So you have 2 hours. But in those 2 hours, the teacher's like, Katie, can you meet with me? I want to go over the goals for my IEP. Or, Katie, can you meet with me? The mom called. Can you translate? Or, Katie, can you meet with me? I want to talk about his sensory diet. And it's like, by the time you sit down to write CSIS, your notes, it's like 2 o'clock, and you're like, oh, I get out at 3.
Oh, right. Well, not everyone who's listening is in New York, so they might not know what CSIS is, but it's like an online special education system.
For the notes.
And what I did do, I spent all of Sunday inputting my schedule just until December, because it could change. And I just did it for all the Mondays and Tuesdays. My entering notes has been so easy. I've done it, like, in the session.
Oh, because you could do it.
She did the
pre-planning. Yes, so it just says, like, schedule future session, and then you edit it, and then you put your little note. And it's so easy. Yeah. The only thing that's going to be annoying is that, like, if too much changes, but I don't think it will. Hopefully not. But even if it doesn't, then you can just delete it, or you just, like,
but still, if you have, how many groups do you, a speech therapist, how many groups do you guys have a day?
Well, my schedule has changed, but like 8 or 9.
No, how many groups do you have a day?
Groups a day, like maybe 3.
So 8, and then you have 3 of 2, right?
Yeah.
So that's 6. So 14. So you have to build 14 kids that day. And then let's say
that's hard. That's hard. Groups are hard. It's annoying when people are like, "You can fit that," and I'm like, "No, that is like way more work."
Right. And then, as I believe, speech therapists don't have to do evaluations. OT and PTs do. So an OT, a teacher.
Speech therapists are not allowed to do. You can do an assessment or a screen,
but not an eval.
No. Well, you can if you are an evaluator or you're hired as an evaluator. Not in your school, because that's a conflict of interest, because then maybe you're like doing this evaluation, you're going to be like, everyone needs speech, or like Oprah with speech.
Where OT and PT have to do their own evals.
How is that not a conflict of interest?
It should be. But a teacher would be like, Katie, well, I have the student, can you take a look? And me and the teacher have a great relationship, so it's like, yeah, you're right. All right, let me do an eval. So now it's like, when are you doing this eval? When are you writing this IEP? So going back to what you said, the IEPs, they're quick, short, and then sometimes you just forget to include those Jonathan or Johnny benefits from vestibular and swinging and wheelbarrow, because
I was going to say to be like giving an alternative perspective is their sensory integration and their sensory diet changes daily. Yes. So you can't write on the IEP 3 spins and 2 jumps, because next month it might be 5 spins.
If you write something on the IEP, you have to follow that. So you can never include a sensory diet on the IEP.
If it was in the goal part, though, but if it was in that little like summary blurb, you can be like, throughout the school year, so and so has demonstrated like positive reactions to
goal or management needs. You can't include that because the management needs.
No, but like in your little like blurby part,
that Johnny enjoys swinging on a swing, or
like or you could be like, Johnny is terrified of the swing.
Right.
Do not put Johnny on the swing. You will just put yourself really behind.
Yeah.
Well, if he's terrified on the swing, then you want to work on the swing, right? Whatever. Okay.
So the other thing that I wanted to do before we got a little bit off of our outline, but that's okay. The only thing, Maria is having sensory processing issues.
OCD.
But I know Katie had some really good questions.
Answers.
We're definitely going to get to those, but there's something interesting that I want to get to first. So first, can you tell us, like, everyone's grows up and they're told they have 5 senses.
Yes.
Is this true?
So now it's 6.
Okay, so what are they?
Intuition
Just-
one of them?
Just label all of them.
Okay.
Just sequence
I'm gonna
them.
try.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Whiskey's not gonna be on my side.
That's fine.
But
This is-
so you guys
this is
help me.
drinking. This is the
Okay.
ultimate drinking game.
Okay. How about this? Okay. And Maria keeps pouring her drink into mine.
I
Okay.
can't keep drinking all this whiskey.
So we have the sight,
Mm-hmm.
the hearing,
Mm-hmm.
the smell,
Uh-huh.
the taste,
Mm-hmm.
the touch,
Mm-hmm.
and then proprioception.
Okay.
6.
Right.
There's another
But then
one.
where's vestibular come into?
So
then?
vestibular imbalance is
Hearing.
proprioception.
Oh,
Hearing and proprioception.
So tell
Yes.
us more. So we have proprioception, which is
Proprioception.
understanding your body
Balance
and space.
and okay. So yes, proprioception is your joints.
Okay.
So if you were to close your eyes and I was to move your body,
Right.
would you know where it is in space?
Right, you're like, man, that's a funny sketch.
Yeah, but
You
it's
close
true.
somebody's eyes, they're like, I'm lost.
Yeah. No, it's true. You lift their arm and you say, "Did I lift your left or right?" And they have no idea.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's your body awareness. It's
Yeah.
you feeling your joints, your muscles, where are they in space. So once again, somebody wrote a question about oral sensory,
Mm-hmm.
and one of
Yes. Hold on, we have a knock.
We have a
We have a
knock.
I have a knock on my door.
What's up,
Mike.
Mike? Come
Hi.
say hi. Come.
Hi.
Come. Yeah.
Hi everybody.
Mike,
my
take-
my
take-
notes for my show are on that.
Oh, take it.
Gosh. Okay.
I thought he was coming for the whiskey.
Oh yeah, Mike.
Maybe I'll take a little.
You can
Take
put
some
it
whiskey.
in Maria's cup
Yeah,
and then take her
That's
cup.
a good idea. What do you think of the whiskey?
Oh,
Whoa,
careful.
It's good. It's sweet.
Yes.
Yeah, it's honey
Yeah.
whiskey. I said it's a gateway whiskey.
Yeah, if you're like a 15-year-old,
I
your
guess,
parents are fighting.
I guess.
You know, you steal some of mom's honey whiskey.
I guess that would be me because this is my first.
Why your parents are fighting?
No. I
That's
just
your first
the
whiskey?
Well, I've had whiskey before in.
When I was
Nashville.
sneaking Black House, not
It was-
whiskey.
It was too much for me. I went to Whiskey Tavern. Whoever's been there, it's pretty fun.
Mhm.
But it hurt my stomach. The whiskey. I was like, oh my god, I need a nap.
Oh. Well,
So this is the first whiskey I'm
and you
enjoying.
can take you can't take this. We need that. You could take the red stool though. But no, I have never enjoyed the taste of whiskey. But my friend Janelle, who's just like she's just badass.
Right.
And whenever we go out, she orders like scotch or whiskey on the rocks, and I'm like,
Katie's a bit of a badass too, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, she boxed a girl. I mean, I don't know how
right.
much more
She did say that, yeah.
evidence you need for that.
I could box somebody probably.
Yeah, but she like legit wore like the headgear and, like, in the ring and like really boxed someone.
Check out my podcast, The Sit Down.
Okay.
Oh yeah, check out Mike's podcast, The Sit Down. It's recording a room away from us right now. The Sit Down Pod on Facebook or Instagram. You have pod after yours, don't you?
Yeah, that's a social media handle, but
Oh, he's chewing.
Mike's
if you
eating
search
a lot
The
of
Sit
snacks.
Down on iTunes, you'll find it.
Yes, I
Tell
did
your-
an episode about
tell your-
psychopathy.
Tell your
So
yeah, Deb's on an episode. Tell your husbands, boyfriends, sons, stepsons,
yes, they'll like it.
nephews.
Also, let me just bring some attention to the Girl Scout cookies that Katie brought in.
Do you know Mike's highest episode had like 40,000 downloads?
Wow.
Wow.
Hashtag goals.
Impressive.
Oh,
There's another
whatever.
Mike on Thursday and Friday at 7 hours. Come over.
Come on
He's
down.
like, yeah, sure.
Come on down to Staten Island.
Mike's like, I have a Comedy Central half hour. You
I
want
used to live in Brooklyn, and that was like my place to be. And I'm like, Brooklyn, yeah, I would never move from here. I moved to Staten Island, and I
Wow.
love it.
I'm from Staten Island.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And now you're in Brooklyn.
Yes.
I would never go back.
Oh,
I
yeah.
never thought I would go forward, but I never.
I can't. I don't know. There's just all of my people are there, and I like to go see them, and I like them, but then I also like that I am here.
Okay.
Good for
All
you.
right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No,
Okay.
don't
Yeah.
be sorry.
Okay.
So, you gotta pee. A girl's gotta go.
Yeah,
we
I
gotta
had to
go.
go so bad. The whiskey.
Yeah,
It does
there
it
you
too.
go.
Okay. So we addressed a few oral sensory things. Is that what we're up to?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we had a few questions that were
Yes.
sent to you guys. And the oral sensory, I know we kind of mentioned it a few times. And I believe the question was something about the child being oral sensitive and what can we do. And about like biting and chewing. And one of the things was don't tell the kids to stop biting because it's not something that could help.
Right.
So when we are stressed or when we are anxious or when there is a lot of pressure, what do? We twirl our hair, we bite our
That's what I
nails.
do. I braid my hair, this corner of my hair, over and over again. And I'm going to even name drop Broderick in college. She told me she doesn't know how I'm ever going to be successful because I play with my hair too much.
Rude. That's rude. But sensory, so biting our nails or eating something that's really salty or something really spicy. Do you know those people that eat something, they're like, I can eat peppers that are really spicy.
That's my stepdad.
How do people do
He
that?
loves it.
Right.
The more pain that he's in.
Hyposensitive.
Right, so
But it looks like he's feeling it.
That's why he's sweating and he's red.
And he's red. He's
They're seeking that because they're not receiving that on the regular.
So
See, I know. I listened when the OTs talk.
because he's a smoker, though, too.
I'm not
And
sure.
it, like, kills the taste buds in your mouth.
Yes, I think smoking does
Yeah.
kill that. I'm
Yeah.
not sure about all the research behind like smoking, but I know it's obviously not good for you. It
Yeah.
kills the taste buds. But
Right, so maybe that's why
yeah,
it's
so
like...
hyposensitive is that you need more than others to feel something.
Right.
So if I cough, as soon as I taste pepper in something, I'm hypersensitive. I like cough right away. A little is too much for me. Where I guess your stepdad is hyposensitive, where he's like, I could eat, and I'm like, I don't feel it. Like I need more.
Yeah.
Right.
So oral
Yeah.
sensitive.
So a kid that's sensory seeking would be a kid who's mouthing on things, chewing on their shirt. What about
So like
who even like a kid might present with like having pica? They're putting everything in their mouth. They just want to eat everything, or they're so
pica.
hungry. Right. So is it like their sensory pica?
It means that you're going to eat foreign objects that are not foods. So, like, there are certain individuals who have, this is a psychological disorder, to be on, like, specific. So, like, sometimes people, when they're pregnant, if they have the vitamin deficiency, they develop pica and they start eating, like, chalk or like cotton or that's pica. So
it's called fun fact of the day.
yeah.
no, my mom
So,
my mom was in Ukraine when she had me,
Yeah.
and she was low calcium, and the doctor told her to eat chalk.
Oh.
She was eating chalk.
Whoa.
Well, maybe so. I have
that was in
seen
Ukraine.
chalk has been like a repeated example with pica. I get so into like psychology disorders.
All right. We should. Yeah.
But, like,
Katie, you need
yeah.
to come back for a psychologist.
So just for a second.
Yeah.
So some of the reasons oral sensory, it could be body awareness. So the student doesn't know where their body is. So the reason they eat things or whatever's going on with their face is because they want to know where their body is.
That's the proprioceptive you were talking
Yes,
about before.
perfect.
Those six senses.
And
yes.
then stress or anxiety. Do you know when you would bite our nails,
Mm-hmm.
everything goes in your mouth? Chewing on the straws, chewing on the eraser or the pen, anxiety. Or when you're bored. So
right.
just being bored, like we don't know what to do with ourselves.
Right.
So some of the things that you could do is do the gum massage. I don't know if you guys do that.
I like to do a lot of oral motor massage. Like I'll start off with that one kid in particular who I was talking about. We would do the superhero contest, and then next we would do. We would have the Chewy tube, and we do 10 bites on this side with one texture, and then 10 bites on this side with same texture, and then progress to 3 other ones. Then we would do the Z Vibe, which he was quite sensitive to at first, but I just kept being like, "You're strong, we could do it," and we just did it like 2 seconds more each time, because like I got all the time in the world. When people get into things in September and they're like, we're not there yet, I'm like, you have all of the time in the world at this point.
Exactly.
1 second at a time. If it's 1 second today and
make
1
that-
second tomorrow, then it's 2 seconds next time. It does not have to be 10 seconds. Like whoever
Even if it's
taught
just a
you,
week.
right, but whoever taught you everything has to be in tens is a moron and they should go away.
Also, to go off of that idea, is you can teach the student these things and then have the parent, teacher, para carry it over. You're not, because if they're only coming to you 2-3 times a week, 4 or 5 max, if they need this every day, every 2 hours, every 15 minutes, you can't be there at all times.
Oliver.
Like, speaking of Oliver, who's here at all times. That's okay. He's here. And, so you have to teach. So part of your job is to educate others to carry over what you're doing. So, but I actually have a high functioning girl with autism, and she would like kind of play with her spit, and then some of the teachers thought she was doing it for attention, and possibly she was, but I'm like, I think it might be sensory. It might start as sensory and then turn into behavior. So I taught her to massage her face. So every time we started speech, I'm like, what do you have to do? Massage your face. And then I'm like, what's your homework? And she would say, massage my face. And then the mom, I would talk to mom, but she's like, oh yeah, she told me her speech homework is to massage her face. So I'm like, yeah, thanks.
Good. I love that too. So then when someone's like, "What'd you do in speech?" they're not going to be like, "Nothing."
At least they can be like, I massaged my face.
Yes, and you'll be like, "Very good. You
And
sure
this is how
did."
this is how we collaborate because like you guys do speech and then they play with spit and we're like, listen, they massage their face in my session. Can you massage their face in your
Right.
session? It takes
Carryover.
Right.
and we love carryover. You know, in our schools, same AP, they love carryover.
Yes.
So yeah. So
But that's also goes with my favorite line, working smarter, not harder. Instead of being like, what am I going to do these half hour, this daunting 30 minutes? Like, well, I already got the first like 45, 10 minutes, 5 seconds, whatever, of massaging the face. That's like one less thing I got to worry about.
Unless you have a schedule within that session. So you know every time you get in there, you're already getting yourself started. And once you get yourself started, you're ready.
and these are some other quick just activities.
Yeah.
Choose sticky things like gum, blowing cotton balls, or vibrating pens. And OT will love vibrating pens. They kids love them.
Like a
And
Z-Vibe.
nowadays- Yep. But we have actual writing pens when you write
Oh.
it's like this. So the kids put them in their mouth, on their cheeks. We put gloves over those pens. Though.
Right,
So
yes.
if they put it in their mouth, it's
Uh-huh.
so the kids.
See, I never buy a Z-Vibe. I always tell the parents to buy it because I feel like they're individualized
glove
and I
over
can't. I never thought of that. Yeah,
put a
smart.
glove over it.
Yeah, smart.
Okay.
So
I love that idea.
Let's go
I
over
feel
to
like
Eb. Do you want that to be your little tip? Because now we have our tips or tricks segment.
Sure. Gloves
So-
over the vibrating pens.
All right. My tip, I'm going to say when you're doing any type of oral motor activity or anything, have stand in the mirror with the student or next to them. So like when I was teaching the girl massage your face, I did it with her in the mirror and then
the
I
mirrors.
stepped away.
Love the
So
mirrors.
using the mirror for like these oral motor things.
I even use the mirrors for writing. I
Oh.
have mirror writing markers, and they have a mirror in front of them, so they see themselves, but then they write with the marker on the mirror.
Yeah, because isn't
Love
that visual feedback
Yes. They
ish?
see
Go ahead.
themselves,
Right.
who they love usually,
Right.
which is great.
Good.
Yeah, and then they just write. So they incorporate what they love, what they're not so fond of, and they put them together.
Oh, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Also, I think what they love is writing on something they're not supposed to.
That's not a paper.
Yeah. They're
So
like,
if you could get
here I go, I'm writing on the
Exactly,
mirror.
on the mirror.
Yeah.
And I see myself. Let me draw myself.
Yeah.
Have them draw themselves. Trace it.
That's great, and that's also like great for like tracing and fine motor. We didn't get into fine motor. You'll have to come back.
Yes.
I thought this was gonna be
2 seconds.
both things, but no. You know what? I knew it wasn't.
It's okay.
You just want to
It's
be
always
prepared.
good to have extra.
Yes.
But not enough.
So next time you
Right.
come, we'll talk about fine motor and
Yeah.
visual scanning. And my tip or trip, Maria thinks I forgot. So like I mentioned, like I don't love to play board games, and like you definitely do have to have like some sort of like positive reinforcement for these kids to come to speech, even though I think that like they're happy to be there. But I have a basketball hoop. Like I got it was like a $50 basketball hoop from Modell's. Like it looks legit. And I have my basketball. And they all know that at the end of their session, they get like 2 minutes, which is like 2 minutes, not 5. Whoever's doing 5, stop that. Too long.
Yeah.
2 minutes is longer. Sometimes I tell them it's 2 and it's 1.
Right.
But still, like, I do that, and I leave the ball, like, randomly throughout my room, because the last kids played with it. It was thrown all around, and then it was there on the floor. Then I either, like, let them go, or I leave behind them, and I go to get my next kids, so then they come in, and they see the ball, and they grab it, and they go to do basketball, and I'm like, you know that's for later. And I'm, like, saying that in, like, a disciplinarian way, but, like, I'm not intentionally doing that way. I'm just like, remember, you get to do this later, so I'm going to take it now. Like, you had a little taste. I'm going to take it back. And then once you finish all this stuff and you get all your points on the board for doing all your work, because everything that you do in speech is equal to 1 point, and then they get a point on their board.
That's awesome.
And then once our session bell is up at 25 minutes, then they actually get to do that basketball time. So yeah, that's my trip. Like my tip or trick is to have a basketball hoop. Like, you know, if you're going to spend money on something, spend it on that. You don't have to have pieces to a game. You don't have to carry around toys. You just have that there all the time. And it's going to, like, also target those kids who have that need to get up and run around and get rid of some energy.
It works on eye-hand coordination.
There we go.
And bilateral integration.
Good.
All right. So
Our
Katie
quote.
is going to give us our quote.
Oh.
Katie's going
I
to
get
pick
it.
the quote
Okay.
because she's our guest of honor, even though she has to come back.
I love it.
Yes,
And Dustin
good.
just coming to Staten Island.
Woohoo!
Come to Staten Island.
Yes, come.
So we had a couple of quotes, and the one that
Yeah.
I like, well, I liked all of them, but the one I chose for today was, "When you judge others, you do not define them; you define yourself."
Yes. Oh,
That's
I like
right.
that.
Yes.
I like to tell kids, like, if they're like, blah, blah, blah about someone, I'm like, what you say about other people says more about you than it does about them.
That's one of my favorite
I
quotes too. Good. So on that note, everyone, thank you for tuning in to SLP's Whiskey Please.
More whiskey, please.
Ooh, I know. SLP's
Yeah.
Honey Whiskey Please.
Wild turkey.
I'm Maria.
I'm Deb.
And I'm Katie.
Good night.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye. Oliver says
There's
bye too.
Oliver.
Oh, it's not stopping.
Oliver, anything else? Yes, do not judge others, Oliver. You're right.